Well, hello, my friends, and welcome to another episode of Ending Physician Overwhelm. As always, I am so grateful that you're here. Friends, this is a time where we really need to be coming together, sharing connection, sharing our stories, and figuring out how do we take care of ourselves? How do we take care of each other so that we can continue doing the challenging work that we do? Medicine was never going to be an easy path. We knew this. We know it deep, deep, deep in our hearts. Even when you are expert in whatever part of the body or whatever flavor of person you take care of, none of us ever expected this to be easy. And yet, we keep bumping into these extra challenges like a little pandemic over here, uh, that I don't even know what to call. I don't even know what to call the current shakeups in healthcare related to the government questioning the value of vaccines. I don't know what to call that. But whatever it is, we are here and we will continue to face these challenges, which makes it even more important for us to figure out how do I take care of myself so that I am able to stay in the work that I want to be doing in the world. Now, notice I'm not even saying staying in medicine, but being able to stay engaged, stay doing work that you find meaningful. That's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to be talking about creating meaning because this is one of the challenges of adulthood. I hadn't really thought about it in those terms before. When we came into medicine, when you were in high school, when you were in college, when you were on your pre medicine journey, ask yourself, what did I think being a physician was going to be like? How did I believe at the time I would feel about the work that I was doing as a physician? How did I think I was going to feel meaning in my career? And let's contrast that with what we experience now. Now, we can think about this in sort of cringy terms, right? Looking back at our naive younger selves and what we thought things were going to be like when we arrived to the place that we are. But the reality is that here we are facing whatever challenges you are facing in your life, working in a career that has trained you to put it all on the line for other people. And some of us are very good at doing that. Very good at doing that, in fact, until we collapse, until we're so burned out and exhausted, we can't see straight and we feel like we failed. And if we couple that with this idea that we might have had for such a long time that we should just continue to sacrifice and lay ourselves down because there's so much meaning in our work. And yet, when we are in a place of burnout, when we are at a place of utter exhaustion and overwhelm, we may not find very much meaning in the work that we are doing. Now, that's not to say that the work that we are doing is not meaningful, but part of burnout is a sense of futility, a sense that nothing that you do matters or makes a difference, coupled with cynicism and the emotional exhaustion. There you go. There's our triad. Meaning is important. I do believe it is an essential part of the recipe to allow ourselves to keep going. But ask yourself, am I clear on where meaning is? Am I clear on how what I'm doing matters or not? Because I think we can lose that sense. And I think for so many of us, we imagine, well, once I've graduated medical school, once I've completed residency, once I'm an attending, once I have a career and a practice and I'm in the thick of it, that's where the meaning is. I don't think that's the actual reality for us, though, especially the way that most of us are working as employed physicians, where we experience a lack of autonomy, where the insurance companies end up dictating so much of what we do, where we have crazy schedules and patients who've been waiting and waiting and waiting to get in to see us and have such high expectations for what is going to be able to be accomplished in a relatively short amount of time, right? The traditional 15-minute visit is not enough time to adequately tackle all 17 items that are on the list for the agenda. I want us to think about today. Where will I choose to make meaning? Because, again, I think this is a very critical element to being able to enjoy your life. And it is essential that you enjoy your life. That is something that most of us don't talk about a lot. And I I would argue, I think most of us want to enjoy our lives. And we imagine that once we had arrived, right? Once we had gotten to those attending physicians, or, if you are married, if you have children, if you have a dog, if you had accomplished some specific achievement, you imagine, well, I'll just find meaning in that. And we have to do a little bit more digging than that. So let's think about the arena of work and focus on that first. Not in any particular order, but we're just going to dive into work. Where do you currently find meaning in the work that you're doing? And I'm not being facetious there. You chose to come into medicine, and probably without a lot of knowledge of what that would be like. You chose a specialty, you chose a place to work. And I'm going to presume that if we were able to set down the burnout, we were able to set down the cynicism and the futility and perhaps the rage or exhaustion, whatever those feelings are, if we could set those down for a minute and focus on, what do I really enjoy? What fills my cup about the specific work that I'm doing, right? Is it that, the moment that baby's head is crowning, I find incredible meaning in being able to bring this human, you know, onto the land, as it were, right? From being a swimmer to being a land animal. I find incredible meaning in being there for families in that moment. Is it that you feel like you are the eyes that are keeping watch for dangers in someone's body? Maybe you're a mammogram radiologist, right? And you like to be able to really find what needs to be found and to have a discerning eye that doesn't overcall, and to be able to help women to figure out, do they have a cancer or do they not have a cancer, right? Maybe you find incredible meaning in that. What is it about your current role that you find meaning? Again, we may have to really sit with ourselves and be able to let down the burnout, the cynicism, right? What is that for you? When we can appreciate, there's something here that I do find meaningful still, we can really start to lean into that. So let's go to that moment, right? Where we're doing something that is meaningful. What is it that you feel in those moments? Do you feel joy? Do you feel accomplished? Do you feel connected to the other human? What are those things? Do you feel satisfied in some way? Right? What immediately comes to my mind is Dr. Pimple Popper, right? And squeezing the goo, right? Oh, my brain. Squeezing the goo out of the spots, right? And there's a satisfaction there, right, of being able to solve that problem. How is it that you feel? Name some of those emotions that come up for you when you are in those moments where there is meaning. As someone who spends a lot of time talking to people about healthy weight and metabolism and how do we make positive changes that improve our health, I find incredible meaning in being able to sit with someone and hear their struggles and maybe talk about things that they've never talked about before in order to be able to figure out how do we solve this problem together. I feel an incredible sense of connection and satisfaction in knowing that I know how to help people with the particular struggles that they face. For me, that is something that I can feel in my body. It's very satisfying. It helps me to feel like I am on the forefront of the changes in medicine that I want to see, right? Where we are more truly preventative, where we are truly forward focused. So, what is it? What is it in your current role that you find very satisfying? Again, it may be a particular disease state or a particular way that you connect with other humans. It may be a procedure that you do. There has to be something there that drew you in here. And what is it that you actually feel in those moments? Being able to identify these things is incredibly powerful because we can amplify those experiences in a number of ways. We can choose to notice those meaningful moments and let them fill our emotional batteries somewhat. We can choose to amplify them by trying to increase them, trying to give ourselves more opportunities to have more of that. Now, this is big picture thinking, and you may not be able to create more opportunities for whatever it is all at once, right? But if you identify, I really, really, really enjoy being able to deliver babies. I really, really enjoy being able to, treat someone's mental health. Whatever those things are, there is a need for you to do more of that. Because when we do more of what lights us up, what fills us up, we are able to do better and feel better. And it all compounds for a better experience. When people are doing work that they love and they're getting enough volume to really fill their cup, they're going to be happier and more engaged. And they're going to be able to figure out how to navigate boundaries, how to not get stuck in the BS, right? Any of the things that we do is going to require us to do some things that we don't want to do, right? Anytime we see a patient, we write a note. Doesn't matter what we're doing with or to the patient, we will write a note, right? None of us gets out of bed in the morning to write our notes. None of us. Even if you are a writer, you don't get out of bed in the morning to go and write patient visit notes. You don't, or discharge summaries or whatever that looks like. But it will bother you less when you are able to do more of what you love and because you want to really focus on the things that you do enjoy. You'll probably be smarter at being able to figure out how do I make these other parts faster, more effective, more efficient so that I can do more of what I love. So that's thinking about work. But my friends, we are not just workers. I don't know one of us who doesn't feel there's at least some emotional wrap up in our identity as people, as being physicians or nurses or whatever it is that you do. But it is so important that we spend time being just our human selves. Just our human selves. And I don't say just there to minimize our human selves, but I say just to identify that there are moments when we are not our professions, where we have put the doctor title aside, where we are just being human beings in the world. What brings you meaning? So when we think about experience as parents, if you are a parent, more likely than not, you had similar naive fantasies that, oh, I will spend every moment of my waking presence just being completely and 100% in love with my child, with my children. They are perfect. They can do no wrong. And I will just love them every second of every day. I think if you have been a parent, and I'm going to include fur parents in here, right? If you have a dog or a cat, there are moments when you do not feel fulfilled in your role. Now, you may find incredible meaning and satisfaction in being a parent, but there are plenty of parts to it that are not very satisfying, that are a lot of work, that are frustrating, right? Just like there are in our work. Similarly, you might be a homeowner. You might be so happy to be able to own a home, and there's going to be stuff that you have to do that is not very enjoyable. That is the reality. But when we can do that process, again, of identifying where do I find meaning? And what do I feel in those moments? And how can I choose to get more of it? We will amplify our positive experiences, and those things will help us to feel better. So often, when we're talking about burnout and talking about how to feel better, we are talking about ways to reduce the pain, to reduce the harm, reduce the injury, right? Our body's natural tendency in response to stress and burnout is to contract and get smaller, right? And try and protect and armor up. There is a natural role for some of that, and some of the work that we do is really to neutralize or remove things that are causing pain and stress. But we also need to do some work of figuring out what is it that I love? What is it that I enjoy doing? What amplifies? What fills my cup? Right? Because we need both to reduce the things that are causing chronic frustration and resentment and overwhelm, but also to figure out how to really feel joy, how to feel fulfilled, how to find meaning, right? And that is this process. So let's take the homeowner analogy a little bit deeper, right? If you own a home, what is it about owning a home that brings you meaning? Is it because no one in your family ever owned property and you're proud of your accomplishments? Is it that you love having a place where people can gather, the people that you love and want to spend time with can gather, and you can contribute to their lives in positive ways and find community? What is it that you love? Is it that you love having a safe and beautiful place for your family to rest and spend time together? Sounds a little bit silly. I don't think a lot of us spend a lot of time in finding the meaning, finding the joy in having a home. But what if we did? What if we just took a moment to feel grateful for the things that we have? We've lived in this house for nearly 10 years, and I'm going to tell you, we we toured this house not thinking that it was anywhere in our league, but we were just out looking at houses to buy. And we walked into this house, we're looking around, and I walked into the primary uh, bedroom's attached bathroom, And there was the most beautiful tub there. And I looked at this tub and I fell in love with this house. We didn't think we'd be able to get it. We did actually get it and paid a ridiculous amount of money because I live in an expensive city. But the ability to have this wonderful home in a wonderful part of town where we can walk, where we have community and neighbors, and it's close to things that we find important. And inside, there is enough space for us to rest and relax and spend time together, right? Those are things that I find meaningful about this house. Now, there's all the other stuff, right? There's things like we had to get roof urgently repaired middle of the night. We had to replace siding. There were all these things that we had to do. Homeowners, you know what I'm talking about. Even if you rent, right? There are things that have to be done. There's maintenance. There's repairs. There's mortgage crap. There's all kinds of things that no one wants to spend time doing. But when I'm very clear on where is the meaning that I find in being able to have this home, then I'm able to say, yeah, this other stuff is worth it because we don't ever get to live a life where there isn't challenge and some boring, stupid things that we have to do, right? We don't get to live a life like that. If you figured it out, you call me up and you tell me. Similarly, I have a wonderful friend who has built her career as a physician traveling. And she is able to do telehealth work. She's able to travel all across the world doing work that she finds meaningful, and she finds great meaning in the travel. So for her life, the ability to be able to work and to be able to fund a life that gives her such joy, that is her meaning. It's so critical that each of us start to gain some clarity. Where do I find meaning? Where do I find meaning at work? Where do I find meaning at home? So that we are able to enjoy this life more. Again, I know this sounds not woo exactly, but it's a little, I don't know, it's a little Pollyanna-ish. And yet, who amongst us doesn't want to find more joy and meaning in the things that we have so that we can actually enjoy them when they happen and seek more of it out? Most of us imagined that we would automatically feel great joy and happiness having accomplished the things that we've accomplished. And we do feel that for a bit of time, right? But then it settles. Then we're used to it. It's the new norm. And so when we pause and we can be in this time and space in our lives and get clear on where the meaning is, we will be able to choose to notice it more. We will choose to seek it out. We will choose to amplify and expand it. I've seen so many wonderful physicians be able to identify for themselves what it is that they love and be able to create their own spaces. And not all of us will go and do that, but that is a powerful way to care for yourself and be able to care for others. But it is important still that we figure out how to take great care of ourselves in those endeavors because we can burn out anywhere. Knowing where you find the meaning gives you so much fuel to be able to cope with the stresses, to be able to set better boundaries, to be able to be that much clearer on what is important to you and to go all in. My friends, this is good work to do. So I want you to go back and I want you to listen to this episode again. Sit with your journal, sit with your phone, whatever you want to sit with, right? And figure out, what is it that I love? Where are those experiences? What do they feel like in my body? And can I choose to notice them more, amplify them, and see that when I use, this is Brene Brown language here, when I use my gifts and talents in the world by doing work that I find meaningful, I'm a better human and I bring amazing things into the world. Maybe you teach, maybe you light up when you get to talk about a certain thing, or to be present for people in their hardest moments. Whatever it is, get clear and figure out, how do I do more of that? My friends, this is what I have for you today. Please sit down and do this work. I can't emphasize how much of a difference it makes. And it helps you through the hard times. And I think we're going to face hard times, harder times. I'm here with you. Let's do this together. But let's be very clear that it will require excellent self-care. Until next week, bye.